All right, welcome back in YKTR Sports Nation to the Body Science Content Studio. I am your host, Jackson Thomas, as always, joined by my boys, Skipper Scope. What's up, baby? And the boss, Isaac John.
Skip, how are
Skip.
you?
Yep, sorry, boss.
Did you get Desi as well? Nice.
Shot Des, have a good show, yeah?
Before we rip into anything, we are dropping again this Sunday at 6 p.m. We have 4 of the oversized tees. We're running the supply and demand shorts, 4 different colorways, plus 4 of the doozy caps, one of which I've got on now. I think we're running a black and red, a blue, a red, and a black and white. Top of my head.
Fuck it, let's get into the sports.
Let's get into the sports. But yeah, 6 p.m. we're back on. Off the top, let's start with a bit of, we will get into the footy news, but the big news scope this morning that I know rocked you to your core. TB12 officially hanging them up, mate.
Yeah, Shefty reported it 2 or 3 days ago. Probably got a bit carried away, a bit like you in the office sometimes. Jacko, you try to break news when it's, got to give time. But no, all jokes aside, Brady, the greatest of all time. For people that, I'm sure everyone knows who Tom Brady is, but if we relate it back to NRL, it's Cam Smith. Probably about 5 to 6 years ago, there was a bit of competition, and he kept on winning rings. And you talk about like Cam Smith, Joey Johns, who's the GOAT, and then Cam just kept on winning. And then it got to the point where there's no discussion. Even the strongest New South Welshman or Joey Johns fan ice would even say that Cam's the GOAT, and Brady's clearly the GOAT. And he's fucking 45 years old. Talked about his body being banged up, and his missus, not enjoying the game, seeing him getting banged up, and he's got 2 or 3 young kids. So just appreciating the greatness of the great Tom Brady.
Yeah, he was my first introduction into NFL. So 2000, watched my first ever Super Bowl, 2001 around that time, and he sort of won it too. And my brother was a big sports fan, so he was my introduction into that. And a lot like Kobe was into basketball. I didn't follow NFL as closely as I followed the NBA, but what a career. I think the most telling thing is when you look back on that Madden, like his first ever Madden, like the
rating?
Not rating, but just his face, and then to where it is now. Man, he's been around for so long, and it's great to watch. So
I think the cool thing about Brady as well is like it's going to be weird. I've lived my entire adult life watching him bloody win Super Bowls. But the fact that we're ushering in a new era that's going to have no Drew Brees, no Phillip Rivers, no Peyton, no Tom, and potentially
Big Ben.
I thought that about basketball as well. Like when LeBron and that are starting to like dip out now, I'm still excited about the next gen coming through, because the next gen that are coming through have watched these guys play,
and they're better.
So they're always going to be better.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have the career that Tom Brady has, but I don't know, it's more fun to watch.
It'll be very hard to replicate, but the quarterbacks that are coming through now that we talk about all the time, you got Patty Mahomes coming through, Joe Burrow's in the Super Bowl, Josh Allen should be,
Herbert,
Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, there's just so much. In NBA and NFL, there are so many good young kids coming through. When we flip back over to the NBA, guys like Ja Morant are killing it. So there's never a lack of talent coming through, but it gives you that nostalgic feeling, because I'm like Jacko, I probably got into NFL about 2007, 2008 playing Madden, and then, Tom Brady has just
won it all.
He kept on winning, and he's crippled me. I lost a couple of big bets on it, man. And we talk about a little bit of jam. He's cost me plenty of jam over the years. So congrats for the GOAT. Unbelievable, but I
sort of always like those stories as well. They maximise their talent to the full extent. And I know we're comparing him to Cam Smith, but I think Cooper Cronk's like a pretty good analogy of someone that's not fair. Necessarily as talented coming through, but went on and when he won 5 rings. So
and Brady. The cool thing about Brady as well, before we move off this, is he's not like a washed up version of himself on a big victory lap tour. He finished. He's probably going to win MVP, or he's going to go very close.
He'll come second to Rodgers, and that's not even he will. But he was second in voting, most touchdowns, most completions, most yards.
You better go out at the top, aren't you?
Best.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, let's get into the footy, because that's what we're here to talk about. The Māori and Indigenous All Stars teams have been named. Boys, before we rip into them, should I just rattle through the team list for you?
Before you start, great to have a team announcement.
Thank God.
Yeah. It feels like weird. Just this first one here. It feels like footy's coming back as well. So
Tuesday at 5 too. Getting used to it. All right, let's start with the Indigenous All Stars squad for 2022. We have got, and forgive my stumbling over these, but I'll have a red hot crack. Albert Kelly, Alex Johnson, Andrew Fafita, Tricky Trindle, David Fafita, Hamiso Tabuai-Fido, Jack Bird, my boy Maney, Jermaine Tanoa Brown, Jesse Ramian, Josh Adokar, Mudders Curran getting another crack, thank fuck.
Good on you, Mudders.
Joshki Kerr, Katoni Staggs, Nico Hines, Ruben Cotto, Ryan James, Salman Cobo, Tyrell Fui Maono, Will Kennedy, and Will Smith. The coach is Loza Daly.
That's a good team, man. That's a really good
side.
team.
And I'll roll through the Māoris before we sort of break them all down. We have Brinton Nakoro, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Dylan Walker, Aaron Clark, Isan Masters, James Fisher-Harris, Jaden Nikodima, Jazzy Tavanga, Jordan Rapana, Joseph Tapani, Kenny Bromwich, Kevin Proctor, Cody Nikodima, Morgan Harper, Pasami Solo, Paddy Herbert, Remus Smith, Royce Hunt, TC Robati, and the newcomer, the big fella, Tapuha. Sorry about that last one. Tapuha. That's a big fella out of the Roosters. So, boys, Ice, we'll start with you here. Your reaction to the sides. Obviously, you're very excited for the game, but yeah,
I love these games. I love these cultural games, and it's sort of hard to explain culture if you don't really have one to come from as well. So my favorite games to play for was obviously for the Cook Islands. Like, got to play for the Kiwis. Say that like every now and then. Don't like to bring it up too much, but there's a different feeling when you play for like the Cook Islands and like get to represent your family, and it's a big part of everything they do, and it's a big part of the NRL. Like also the Polynesian boys, the Māori boys, and the Indigenous boys. Respectfully, that's where like a lot of the flash and the talent sort of stuff comes from as well. So I'm really excited for this game. I love the cultural experience from it. Obviously, I love the haka. A lot of people go like, it's a great spectacle, but once you're playing in these games, it's not a fucking spectacle. No. It's about culture. It's about digging back into the past. And when you do hukas and that for the Kiwis, so you go into the Kiwis and they talk about, they call it Te Iwi Kiwi, which means the house that we built that for Kiwis. And when you do a haka, they talk about all these different things like your history, the Māori God of War, Tomo Tawinga. And the last part of the Kiwi haka, they say, if you step into our house, we'll take your breath away. And that's why they go, the last part where they stop and they go, yeah. So when you look at that, and you know the whole story, once you get in that haka, it's something different. And even me talking about it now, and I'm not even Māori, but I've got to experience Māori culture growing up. I get like goosebumps talking about it now. So it's a vibe, and I know all those Indigenous boys feel exactly the same. So great spectacle to the year. It's always a great game. It's fast. It's unlimited subs, and you get some of the most talented boys in the comp going up against each other, playing for their families. So it's exciting.
There you go, Skip.
Yeah,
your thoughts on the game?
I pretty much touched on it there, but I'll just add that I was lucky enough to play for the New Zealand Māori at one point. We played against England. It was more of an exhibition game. Back in those days, it was a warm-up for the Tri-Nations, but everything that Ice echoed there, it was weird for me because I grew up in Australia. I knew about my Māori heritage, and mum and dad would, fill me in on little bits and pieces, but I sort of felt like a bit of an outsider at first when I got into camp, and then
didn't you have Shandor with you?
Yeah, Shandor was there. That helped when I seen him in the meetings. But when I first went in there, I was really pretty standoffish. I don't speak New Zealand. I don't speak Māori. But then it's weird as the week went on, and I found out a little bit more about the history of not only New Zealand Māori but my people. By the end, I was so fucking amped up. And I played in the grand final. I also don't talk about that too much, Ice. But I played in the grand final. This game was the best game. No, the best game I ever played in.
Oh, wow. Obviously, you drew against England? Was that the game?
Yeah, we drew against England, yeah. Just the emotion of it, doing the haka when I was a little bit embarrassed to get out there and do it first because I felt like a bit of an imposter growing up here. But, the boys really embraced me. It's weird, like, once you get in there and like, when we're doing, for people that don't know, you practice the haka throughout the week and you get explained to what it means, and at the start they go, all right, we'll get in your formation and how you want to be in the sort of the V styled haka. And in the first couple of days, because I had no idea, I was sort of just floating at the back, and in my head I'm like, I don't want to be seen here when the cameras are on. But I don't know, the emotion sort of took over in the game, and I started fucking walking forward and really getting into it because by the end we'd had it down pat, and I chucked out a few pukanas and was carrying on a treat. But like it,
but you have to, bro.
But the emotion took over, man. It was like an out of body experience, and then after the game, I was even like, boy, should we let's do one to the fucking crowd, and really got into it by the end of it. So a really proud moment for me. I love this game. Just if do you want to roll into the teams a little bit?
Go. Carry on,
So I'll roll into the team. I'm a little bit sad that we're sort of robbed of, I think, off the top of guys who have got suspensions that are still going to count for the NRL, but they don't let them play this game.
Yeah, so we got
Latrell and Cheese.
What's the ruling? Why is that? I don't get it.
So it's
it doesn't make sense, mate.
It's an exhibition game. So someone will use Latrell as an example. Latrell is able to play in the Charity Shield because it's
a registered NRL trial.
Oh, okay, but he can't play in this game because So it's one of those weird loopholes. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but obviously we have no White and no Ponga and no Latrell. Like there are some stars missing, but
some stars out of this game for sure. And two of them that I believe that are suspended is Latrell and Cheese. It's not like it's not going to count onto the start of the year as well. So if they miss this game, just say they've got a 1-game suspension. All right, we're going to see them round 1. They're still not going to play round 1. It just doesn't make sense at all. Like you can play the trial games. They're going to play trial games, and then that's like not going to count. But they're still going to be able to play. Yeah. This is a game to celebrate our culture, and for me. I know the boys are going to rip in no matter what. I think we've got to obviously we don't have the strongest lineup for the New Zealand Māori, but fuck, I want to see as many stars in this as possible. Make a
few chip and chases on tackle too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be fucking grouse, and it's such a good game.
Chanel's got one of those in him. Don't worry about that.
Mate, all the boys do.
All the boys got a Chrissy Sandow tackle too, Chip.
All the boys got a chip chase and a flick pass in them. But I want to see it from our superstars, and I feel like we've been robbed of a couple of them for sure.
100%. I agree with you. I'm really excited to see back. One that sort of really stands out for me is Andrew Fafita. Yeah. Obviously, he sat on a podcast with us and talked about his near-death experience.
That was crazy.
I was holding my throat the whole time because it made me feel. And like for someone who's done everything in the game, just to have the ability to learn how to walk again and come back and actually want to play again. Like I was sitting there going, fuck that. I'm not going back to footy.
You had your knees up on the chair. You were
I'm probably wasn't one of the toughest dudes on the field, but I'm great to see you back. Obviously, there's wonderfully talented people in there, but for me, that's a sort of standout story, the little comeback story for the Indigenous boys.
Yeah, just for me, just quickly looking at the seed, obviously, I'm a bit biased towards the Kiwis. I know they're going to be underdogs, but I'm super happy for Jaden Nikorima as well. I know old Kitty got to gave Cody the phone, so Cody got to call him and give him the call up, and we are going to see Jaden Nikorima back in the NRL this year, I'm sure, especially with the injuries and suspensions, etc. He's going to get a start. But
I didn't realise your uncle was coaching.
Yeah, Uncle Kitties. that joke was Kitties. All right, let's move on. No, I'm with you on Jaden. I don't know if you were looking at my notes there, Jack.
No, I wasn't.
But I'm pumped for Jaden. And there's two factors. Obviously,
he's good, bro. He's a good player.
There was massive raps on him coming
Aussie
out.
Schoolboys,
it's been like 5 or 6 years now since we've seen him play competitive footy, so I'm looking forward to that. And the part that's more intriguing for me the most is he's down in the Melbourne Storm system. Yeah. So could he potentially be the Nico Hines of the Melbourne Storm this year, where a guy a bit unheralded, a lot of people, because he's been gone for so long, they haven't really heard of him. Sort of at that same age around Nico, like 20, I'd imagine he'd be 23, 24.
I'll confirm, yeah.
Could be 25-ish, I reckon.
Would he be a bit older, would he? But yeah, come down that Melbourne Storm system and Bellyache just brings the best out of him. Let's see how much he's progressed. Sorry, what was that?
25, sorry, mate.
25, yeah.
Nice and stable in life too. Like obviously when you get taken away from the game, you like appreciate it a little bit more. He's had a kid as well, so he's be a lot more steady bloke.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I used to knock about with him when he's done.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Got caught up in that Sydney laugh.
And we all do, bro.
And I sort of, if there's one player to watch across both sides, where are you going other than?
I'm keen to see Selwyn Cobbo. Like we've all had raps on him for a little bit, but I think there's certain guys that sort of rise to these types of games, and like someone like Joshy Kerr. Yeah. Like he always flies in these games, and like he's in for a big season.
Could be a sneaky try scorer.
Yeah, sort of tapers off towards the Dragons, but I'm looking forward to Selwyn Cobbo playing as well. My boy Geordie Raps.
Yeah,
the boys are saying it's the first time he played, like made the squad.
Yeah, that's weird, eh?
That's weird.
14 years since he's been in that system. Yeah,
he's been like maybe some B Moz. He's probably the standout winger.
Yeah,
I like how he plays. So him and Joseph Manu sort of got that same sort of like big, strong, awkward, pop up anywhere. Got hops. Got sort of a basketball vibe.
He's just going to take you on. Like he wants to physically beat you for a winger, like winger, center, fullback hybrid.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him play as well. Probably hurt some oldies that they're missing a few halves. Like obviously they got Cody and Jaden and Chanel that can do a job there. But like last year we had like Cheese sort of stood out. Benji Marshall was there. Yeah. Hughes went on to have his best season, and Jerome Lua was in that sort of squad as well. Yeah, so all those guys went on to have a big season. And sometimes the grind of in and out of football, especially preseason, you go into something that's so cultural and almost like spiritual. Yeah, it can set your season up well, especially if you kill it. Remember Cheese a couple of years ago?
Yeah, he fucking lit it up.
He was good, but then after that game, I think he broke his jaw as well. Yeah, went on stage, scored a double. That set your season up. You roll into round one, kiddies.
I think Scope as well, just on the Indigenous boys, having a look at the side. I think you'll probably will see Albert Kelly in there somewhere, but it'll be exciting to maybe have a look at that Cronulla connection of Trindle, Nico, and Will Kennedy.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I know it's a different system, but it'll be interesting to see those boys play together.
I would have been intrigued to see how it would have played out if Latrell would have been in the team too, because we got he played so well in Origin. My guy, everyone knows I love Katoni, man. So anytime Katoni's in the team, Skipper loves himself some Katoni. But like, imagine if you had Katoni on the right, Latrell on the left, potentially if he didn't want to play fullback, or if he gets the
Latrell's playing fullback.
Yeah, do you reckon he pulls rank and then puts they put Selwyn over on the left edge, and then but like the guys like Will Kennedy sweeping out the back of Katoni and giving some ball to Latrell either side. That would have been exciting to see with Nico Hines.
They always sort of rotate that because all the boys are a little bit gassed.
Yeah, they'll probably play 30, 40 minutes anyway. So
you gas from the hooker.
You'll see all the combinations. Yeah, proper gas. But it's exciting. Like that team's so stacked, man. That's a good team.
And we're missing like the cream of the crop. Yeah. So respectfully to the boys, we're missing both sides. We're missing the cream of the crop. So
pretty exciting. Cody Walker, yeah. But I mean, the pool cleaner will keep him to 0, so 40-0 Maldives. Something like that.
What's the Māori boys have won the last couple ways?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, back to back. But
no, they drew last year.
They drew last year. You're right.
Because I had a little anytime. I had Dell into our boy Jordan Ricky. Oh, Jordan's not playing. Hey, what's happened to Jordy?
No, so there's a few stars out. Like,
see, Jordy's out as well.
Do you reckon some of the coaches are going, you're fighting for a spot there?
Yeah,
I don't think you can't say that.
I reckon you can't tell them they can't play, but they'll be.
Yes, you can't, but they will be 100%.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, coaches do that shit all the time.
It depends on how
do those conversations go?
We don't say anything. This doesn't go past this room.
But you're not playing,
basically.
No. So what?
Gus Gould used to do it as well.
Yeah,
really.
If you're established,
I'm not saying Gus Gould done the cultural ones, but those types of conversations, like this doesn't go past this room. Like he would go like, oh, like you're not going to play first grade again. You can either look for a club or you can do in reserve grade.
100%. Yeah, and when it comes to conversations with teams like this in particular, they'll get you have to be fully fit. You have to be travelling like you're looking really good in preseason. You're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
If there's any hint of injury, like you've pulled up, you've had a little hamstring strain maybe 2 weeks ago. You've just got back into full time training. They'll just go, no, you're not playing in this game. And it depends on like. Some of the boys too in that position will go, fuck, is our KP's playing, Cheese is playing, Jerome's playing, fuck it, come on, coach, let me, I want to play. Or they'll just go, fuck, I'll just sit this one out and wait for next year. So,
but you never regret playing these types of games. No, never. No. Like there's a couple times where like I remember like a few of the boys going into World Cup and they didn't have the squads that they were going into. So say like Lebanon for something.
Yeah.
Like they had maybe 5 NRL players and all the rest were just cup. They're like, oh, we're gonna get pumped. And after they come out of that.
Best.
Yeah. You see a guy like Joshy Mansour like not playing and then gets called into Australia and he's good to go. So you never regret representing your culture and you never regret representing your family. So it's an important week. It's not important for everyone, but it's important to these guys for sure.
Yeah, and just having a quick look across the sides as well, like you mentioned with Cheese the other year, there's an opportunity for guys, plenty of these young fellows who probably wouldn't be in there if the likes of Ponga, White and Latrell and all that are there, to sort of showcase what they got, especially Selwyn Cobber.
And like sometimes when you have a really good game in these types of games, you look at your
confidence. Yeah,
you look across at the team. So say the Indigenous side when they're normally stacked to the brim. When you go into video, they're the guys that you usually like. We need to watch out for this guy, and you look up and you've got all of them across there, and you've
competitors
put a clinic on him like a Cheese or a Jerome Luai. It sets you up for the rest of the year.
Agreed. All right, let's move on. Your boy Ren Diggity Scope has officially, I mean, you sort of mentioned it last week. We all thought this was going to happen, but officially been named as the captain of the Broncos. I believe he's the 21st captain of the Brisbane Broncos. What's your take on that one, man?
Yeah, no brainer. Ren's, he's a leader. He's proven it before. He's done it at South. He's been around the game for a long time. Perfect for that team. We talked about as one of the strengths. I think we talked about when we broke down the Broncos game, just having him to have that steady head, like I talked about with the combinations. I'm not worried about who they combine with him because I just know what I'm going to get from Ren. And obviously, Kevy knows what they're going to get from Ren. They named him skipper, and great captaincy for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of captaincy goes more than a coin toss and pick which way we kick. I think it's from Monday to Friday where you can see like where the really good captains are, and there's different styles of being a captain. And his way is to make training seem fun. So whenever you see his content, he's in the physio room, like just doing like childish shit, but it lightens the mood, bro.
You know, it reminds me of Killer as a skipper.
100%. Yeah.
Jamie Lyon.
Yeah. He wouldn't say too much, just fuck around. Like Killer was funny, man. Like Trent Barrett would go to him, you got anything? Like do a big fucking speech. You go, Killer, you got anything? He goes, oh, what was that, mate? Like, and like once you lighten the mood, like people don't like to hear this, but rugby league is a fucking job, and it feels like a job sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
And when you've got your main guy who's going to turn up and do a job for you, and he sort of lightens the mood around the place, makes it fun to be around. It makes training fun to be around.
Yeah, and a little bit of a just circling back to the Indigenous game, bit of a trial for Albert Kelly too if he goes out and plays well. I mean, he's obviously got the trial games coming up, but like you said, if you want to partner in the halves, starts with the Indigenous game going out and doing
I see him as a 14A. Like,
yeah. Could plug in anywhere. But all right, and last topic before we rip into, we are running through our teams 12 to 9 in this preview. But lastly, I don't know if you saw this, but Robbo last night on Triple M called Sam Walker the best ball player of his generation. And then went on to say basically the bulked up version will go to another level in 2022. And
Trent Robinson.
Robbo, yeah. So it's a bit...
My Robbo.
It's your Robbo, your mate. You can just give him a text and ask if you want. But
okay,
probably a bit un-Robbo-like to come out and say something like that just for me, off the jump. But
yeah, it's
pretty... It seems weird, but when you think about...
Wait, so this has come from his mouth. So you've seen it on the video.
Triple M,
is this a take?
No, this is not my take. This is his take. Rush hour.
It was on.
There you go.
Hey, you got the best coach in the comp saying shit like that. And obviously he backs his confidence because a lot of coaches, they won't publicly go out and say things unless they know they can back it up. So
exciting.
We're on this year. That's all I'm hearing.
Well, your thoughts, Scope, on a bulked up version of Sammy Walker partnering with Kez too? Because it looks like Kerry's going to be fit for round 1. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
It'd be sweet for round 1.
Yeah.
Roosters Insider.
Yeah.
Adam Schefter over there.
I've got the best Robbo story. Like, obviously you guys know, but I don't think I can say it on here. Obviously, like, being part of the Roosters and that now, you can't really leak this type of information. But it's about the metaverse and it's fucking mad, and you see why Robbo's the king. So if he can pull it off, we'll clip this back, and this is what I'm talking about if it becomes public.
Timestamp, Lukey.
Yeah, speaking of bulking up, he definitely needs to do that. But Robbo's right in a sense, and obviously not in a sense. Like, there's a reason he's fucking a head coach of the Roosters, and he can see these things coming from a mile away. We spoke to the boys. We know the boys like Kez and Boydie Cordner and that who've been raving about him for the last 18 months. And he's right in the sense, like, in ball playing, it's almost a bit of a throwback. All the halves are pretty controlled now. Like, if you could make a prototypical half, it's Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
Fucking 95 kilos, defends really well, kicks the corners.
He's the kick chase.
He's developing now a little bit of flair. Like, you know, as the season goes on, Nathan will sort of develop
Confidence
that.
comes in,
but when it comes to just fucking playing what he sees, going down a short side, throwing a cutout ball in fucking 3 consecutive games for game winners and shit like that, like Sammy's almost going against the mold of what they're teaching halves these days. Like, I'd imagine a lot of the, I suppose more in Queensland you see it, they've got more open footy, but in New South Wales, a lot of the younger kids are being coached to fucking kick the corners, control the ball, get on, play at 7, first receiver, fucking play with your ruck and get your 6 out the back. So he plays more like a traditional 6 probably, and you'll probably see Kez, whether they're in the 7 and 6, you'll probably see a bit where Luke Keary will play in a more traditional 7 and then allow Sammy Walker to be free and play out the back and throw some cutout balls and whatnot.
Best example is the Kyle Flanagan, like the mad structured, the way that they's come through a system. But once you come through that system, you can't really look outside that system. And that's where Kyle Flanagan got in trouble with the Roosters, where he was always sort of that right side dominant and he couldn't quite see the things that someone like Sammy Walker see. Some people can just see football a lot better than others, and he's one of them. And I talked to Shawnee Johnson about this. So, like, a lot of things about football is about counting numbers and like 6-4s, 5-5s. You'll hear us talk about those splits. Shawnee used to say, like, I never used to know that, but I just knew I had to be there. And it's like a different type of IQ or football sense, and the good players have got it. And if Robbo's going out and saying shit like this, he must have it.
Yeah, I love it. And Sammy Walker's obviously, I think the one thing about Sam Walker that's even like, when you take his amazing year, Reece Walsh as well, like those boys they basically came out of school and then 2019 was COVID. They played little to no footy and then rolled into first grade and fucking smoked it. Like,
scary.
It's scary to think about. But there's one other thing that is scary to think about, and that's an ungroomed below the belt region. YKTR Sports is brought to you by Manscaped. Sorry, that was a bit clunky there. Jump on manscaped.com.au. We are supported again by the boys at Manscaped, the best in below-the-belt grooming. You can use promo code ICE, ICE, or SCOPE, SCOPE.
Grateful.
You can even use Grouse if you're more of a Jordan Simi guy, but, you know, stick to the boys. Get 20% off plus free shipping. It is Valentine's Day, lads, so you want to be
rolling to round 1 with you don't want to be rolling with a bush, putting the budgie smugglers on.
Yeah.
Feel slack as. Your lungs are already going to be gone, so you want to be fresh haircut, ripped to the shreds, shave pubes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's rolling up to Valentine's Day as well. It's, you know, I just had a little Manscaped trim up probably about a week ago, so I'll be due right on time around.
Wait, when did the mow come back?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You got to get that lawnmower 4.0 upstairs, bro.
Yeah, I know. I like the mow every now and again. Just keeps me honest, you know.
Little flavour saver underneath too.
Yeah, a little fit. I was going to say, the little tickler without the first word. New shabab.
Manscaped.com.au, promo code ICE or SCOPE, 20% off. Right, let's break into the teams. We have the Warriors, we have the Dragons, the Raiders, and the Sharks. this episode. Let's start with my boys. Another year spent away from home, which is going to be tough after a 12th place finish. But in some good news, our boy SJ is back. Adam Blake has re-signed. Everybody's waiting to see what Reece Walsh can do in year 2. There's a good feeling around camp. I've got my ear to the ground up there, Skip. So key gains before we rip into this.
Who's your source?
Oh, look, I don't want to get into my sources, but
tomato sauce.
Key gains for the Warriors: SJ, Ash Taylor, Aaron Penne out of Melbourne, who everyone's very excited about, and the most vibey outside back in the comp, Jesse Arthurs. Key losses: lost plenty of experience. RTS, Chad Townsend, Fussy Tua, Pet Hiku, Lisa Narmal, Jermaine Tanoa Brown, Sean O'Sully, Paul Turner, and Kane Evans. Let's go strengths, weaknesses, same as last week. We'll start with you here, Skip. Strengths for the Warriors.
All right, the return of SJ. Shawnee Johnson returns. And what that does for me is the Warriors have always been a team, probably over the last couple of years, where you don't know what you're going to get from that position. You're sort of hoping, probably you more so than anyone, Jacko, here at YKTR Sports, that they're going to, develop these halves and get these combinations going. They last year with Rog still there, obviously they mixed in Reece Walsh with a little bit of 6, but I think this will just really the experience now that he's got going away. He was developing it at the back end of his Warriors career, but he's well and truly solidified it at the Sharks. He knows how to control a game now. He knows how to kick well. We talked about the prototypical 7. He's sort of developed into the. He doesn't have that flair anymore, but what he does is he can control the game now, and that'll be awesome for a young, sort of inexperienced spine combination, and some pretty good forwards still there. So I think he'll just settle him down a bit.
Strengths for you, Ice.
This is a take. I feel like their kicking game is going to be the best that it's ever been since '95 ever.
Wait, when did you retire? When did you retire?
Me, I was a pop gun. Blake Green pop gun. Kieran Foran pop gun. I love their kicking game and what it does, and I'll roll into this as well. And this is only if Ash Taylor plays. Yeah. So you've got Sean Johnson, great right foot kick. Ash Taylor left foot, and then Reece Walsh.
Ash Taylor's actually right foot. Someone corrected us. Yeah, someone corrected us in the comments. Ash Taylor's right foot, and he is right foot.
So he plays left but kicks right.
Yeah.
Then he's a good kicker then, because that's harder to kick off. So sorry, thanks for correcting us.
Can you? Why is that just because of the inside?
Because
the
inside pressure comes. So you cut your angle off. So if they're coming from there, you have to nail them on straight. Yeah. Or you kick flat and kick him through the line like Brett Kamali used to kick.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I've used to try and tell me to do. Try and kick it, bang.
Just turn.
But the reason why, and this is important, because Warriors have always been a momentum side. And like when the momentum's with the boys.
Yeah.
Tough to rein in. Yeah.
When it's not with the boys. Go downhill pretty quick. And why this is important, and a lot of people say the first 5 rounds, you just need to kick to the corners, complete your sets, and you can win 3 out of your 5. Their first 5 rounds, these are their first 5 games.
Oh, yeah.
Dragons.
Cool. Dub.
Titans.
Big dub.
Yep.
Tigers.
Huge dub.
Yep.
Broncos.
60-0.
Cowboys.
I'm not saying all wins, but those are good matchups. Those
are all wins, man.
Pump the Dragons, lose to the Titans, beat the Tigers, beat the Broncos, beat the Cowboys.
I believe here's an
Warriors 4-1, and then that sets up your season. And I said they're a momentum side. They need to start. But then the other side of this is if they lose.
Just to be clear.
If they lose, can I just cover my bases? Disclaimer. This is a disclaimer. If they lose to the Dragons side, it could be downhill pretty quick. Nathan Brown will be out. Because the thing that happens after round 6 is they come and play the Roosters.
Anecdotal stat, I believe the Warriors, someone will correct me, but I believe the Warriors have the best winning percentage over the Gold Coast Titans for any team in the comp. So if you're saying that's
the old Titans though, man. These are the new.
Yeah, true. All right, Scope. Well, look, I've got to take on all of this, but let's go weaknesses for you first before I really break this fucking team down.
Okay, I'll let you have your say. This is respectfully, yeah? This is respectfully.
I'm telling you.
Warriors will be Warriors.
They will.
The Wars going to be the Wars.
The Wars going to be the Wars, man.
Yeah, we've seen it all before.
Yep.
Like
they'll beat Melbourne, lose the Tigers.
They can go 6 in a row and then lose 10 in a row. Like they're that sort of team. And that's where I hope Shawnee can come back with his steadying the ship with his experience going to the Cronulla and whatnot. But when I look at the team, I look at it and I go, I like it. I don't love it. Like it's just I don't know what to expect from him, and that's sort of the weakness for me. I can't get a read on him really. I couldn't sit here and go, Ice brings up 5 really favourable matchups. They're going to go 4 from 5. I go, they could lose fucking 4 from 5. I can see that happening because that's just the Warriors. So I just want to wait and see. I want to get through that 5 and then I'll and I have a proper assessment of the Warriors.
Go on, give me a weakness, Ice. If you're able to find one, I wasn't.
Outside back's just a little bit light in terms of strike. So, like, if you get into like a really tough game versus your Melbournes, your Roosters, and they're locking up Adam Fanua-Blake and they're putting pressure on Shawnee Johnson and they're not getting quite the looks, there's no one there you can really go, fuck, we've got nothing here. You look to your right and you've got a strike centre. Yeah. Your Clinton Torpies back in the day. Your Katoni Staggs right now. Your Zachy Lomaxes right now. Your fucking Tommy Turbo. They don't really have that guy they can look at and go, fuck.
Chuck him the ball.
Give him the ball. Yeah. It's like you're under eights. Like it still works. It still works. You looked at Origin.
Turbo.
Yeah, Turbo, Latrell, give him the ball as early as you can, sit back and just push up through the middle. They don't really have that guy, but they have really nice pieces where they can get looks, but just a little bit light there for me.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree. The Warriors traditionally have always had the big power. Well, traditionally, I mean in the last 5 years when they've struggled, the outside backs have been no dramas, whether it's Connie and Lamape and Ken and Fuss. Like, we've rolled downfield those first three tackles.
Don't forget my boy, man.
Oh, Pitt. Yeah, of course. Come on, man.
Come on.
What? Plays on the left.
My
Ken,
son.
Plays on the right. Fuss leads the try scorers. Plays on the left. Ken does it year after year. Come on, man.
Just the line effect.
But this year it's sort of flipped where the forward pack looks elite and then the outside backs are a little bit light. So I take your point there. Although we both love Rocco Berry and we're excited to see him play. But give us an X Factor scope. Where are you going with the Warriors?
Yeah, you said the forward pack looks elite. I like the forward pack. I love Adam.
You're just bagging him.
I didn't bag them. I said I don't know what they're going to toss up as a team. And does anyone disagree with that? Are you confident that you could say that they're going to finish in the 8?
They're going 3. I reckon they'll go close to the 8. They'll go 3 from 5, first 5.
Well, I've got him in the 10 to 12
Load
range.
up.
That's what I put down. But there's a player that I do love in the team, and I know what I'm going to get from him every week is Adam Fanua-Blake. Top 3 front rower. Yeah, just extended that down there. The thing I love about Adam now, he's
deserves it too.
Yeah, he did. Fucking deserved it at Manly, but that's at another time. But I know what I'm going to get from Adam every time. Like when he went to the Warriors, I was like, oh, how's he going to go here? He's coming out of Manly, where he sort of like he carried that Manly pack there for a while as well. But they had some good star power around there. When he went to Warriors, knowing him like on a personal level from living with my family at one point, I was like, he's got the tendency to just go off the rails a little bit. But
I hope he does.
He's so mature now. I sat down and talked to him last year on the pod. You can see the mindset that he's got. I watch him play. I watch him when something doesn't go wrong that he hasn't done, and he does all the right things, man. He carried the ball well. Fucking few of the boys are fucking making errors or giving away penalties and fucking playing with 12 fucking a lot of the games. And he just got about his work and he defends well. I just know what I'm going to expect from him. So he's going to need to have a real big game if they can win 3 or 4 from 5 in the first couple of games.
Yeah, I really like that tape because sounds like I don't want to bring it back to race, but like when you've got like an Islander prop and he's your main guy, and I know he's grown up in Aussie and he's pretty much a lad over here, but when you got an Islander prop and he can like talk to the Islander boys and get them going, it's really important.
Yeah.
So like we were lucky at the Warriors back in our day where we had Steve Price and Ruben Wiki, and Steve Price fronted the camera and he was the captain on there, but like all the boys listened to Ruben. As soon as Ruben said something, bro,
they still do that.
Ruben, go pick up that Mellows bowl over in the corner. Yeah, sweet. You know what I mean? So I don't want to make this about race, but it is kind of important.
Oh, it's
at the Warriors for sure.
Because Islander boys are brought up different. Like when you get shouted at from your parents, you don't talk back to them. And then sometimes when like you put pressure on as a halfback or an Australian coach pushes pressure on them, they don't really respond as well as they can. If you got your main guy and it's Adam and he's just going, come on Docs, come on Ulls.
And like you said,
it matters, bro. And honestly matters. Yeah,
understands both.
And he got a fucking engine. Like he's not like the Islander boys got engines now.
Adam, if you need 80 minutes out of Adam, you can get 80 minutes out of Adam. No dramas. So
and high quality
80 yeah. So
and he's a square, bro. He's like hard to tackle, late feet, can pass, and he'll probably knock you out. So if you he can fight, bro. I've seen him fight a couple of times. He can fight, bro.
It looks like he can. And if he doesn't, Jazzy will back him up anyway.
Yeah, Jazzy will be in there.
Jazzy's my boy. I love Jazzy.
Yeah, we love Jazzy, but he's got 10 in the bin as well. That's why fucking Adam's got to do fucking 20 carries and 40 tackles.
Had a big night with him up on the Goldie. He's a good dude,
bro.
He's
so nice.
Solid.
He seems like a legend.
Yeah. X Factor for you, Isaac.
Reece Walsh has to be because Shawnee's and I always talk about multiple looks. So a lot of the times, and we'll always use the basketball analogy, but a lot of the times in football, a lot of people only like to get the ball a certain way, and he can get the ball in multiple different looks and still be effective. Like he can run the ball, he can play off a wide 4, he's going to be at the back of Sean Johnson. He's got that Matty Moreland, Darius Boyd 3-on-2 without looking past him as well, and he can set up his own tries as well. So he's not relying on someone to give him the ball, and I just like that about him. That little bit of adversity, I think, is going to set him up to be Like, he's had to grow up quick.
Yeah.
He's 18. He had a kid before he debuted. He rolled in, had to play Melbourne, who's pretty much the best side for the last 20 years.
Anzac Day in Melbourne.
Pushed Roger out to the wing and pretty much would have got Rookie of the Year if he didn't get caught up in the Goldie as well. So he's had to grow up quick, and I think he's the type of guy that loves that pressure.
Yeah, awesome.
You know what says a lot about him just on that
Yeah.
point with the fact that Rog, even though he was moving on and he was thinking about the future, he's seen enough in Walshy to go.
It was a Minicillo effect.
Minicillo. Mini did the same thing with Rog.
Play fullback. Because if he wasn't good enough or he didn't see it and it was just going to be like a 10-week thing, he wouldn't have gone, I'm going to go jump on the wing to fucking finish off my NRL career as it stands now.
Or is Roger looking at that All Black Bunsen and goes, I don't want to get injured here. Let me just go on the wing and count tackles.
Yeah, excited for the Blues. One to watch for you, Scope. Where are you going with my boys?
Sticking it in the mudders, man. Madita.
Yeah.
Madita, yeah. It's all mudders.
Talk
Mudders
to me.
Curran.
Talk
Josh
to me.
Curran.
Yeah.
He killed it at the back end of the season. You were...
It's the one I got right.
Yeah, it's your one good take of the year, Jacko. You're good for one a year. You were trying to get...
Has to be rocking the Indigenous headgear though.
Yeah.
He's elite with that.
Yeah, got the mouth guard as well. His back end of the season just really established himself on the right edge, I believe, for him. Yeah, he was playing on the right edge, scored himself a couple of meaties. We had him a little bit of anytime jam.
Yeah.
But just very tradesman-like as well. A bit like Adam, like, not your... Like, they've got a little bit of mutters about them, but they fucking work hard. They've got a good engine and they do all the right things. That's why, I'm higher on their pack than I am on their backs, a little bit like you are.
One to watch for me, Stacey Jones, the old halves partner. To drop that in there. Yeah, and like the reason why, and like this is the analogy I'm going to give. So a lot of people wouldn't have seen this, but if you're an old head like us, you would watch a movie called Cool Runnings, and I always say this, like where the Warriors always used to fuck up is when they used to try and be like someone else.
Yeah.
And in Cool Runnings, the Jamaican side tries to be like the Swiss side. When Stephen Kearney come in and they're trying to be like Melbourne and do set completions,
They led the NRL in completions and finished 13th.
it's just not us. Like it's not. You don't grow up in New Zealand doing that shit. You go to high school, first thing you do, 40s out, you're playing walk touch, on the courts, going like that. Yeah. We grew up watching Stacey and Ali Lawatiti. These guys have watched Sean Johnson and Kevin Locke, and these guys throw the ball around and then watch the All Blacks put on the clinic for the last 20 years. We haven't grown up like that. So hopefully someone like Stacey Jones can sort of balance out the Nathan Brown effect of like, set completions are fucking cool, but that's just not us.
No.
And I want the Warriors to be the Warriors. I'd rather the Warriors have a crack and do what they do because no one else can really do it like them.
No.
I just want them to do that and just let the cards fall where they fall. That's just my opinion.
Jeez, that's one of your finest. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, I love that. I'd rather the Wires have a red hot crack and finish 10th than play structured footy and finish fucking 8th. You know what I mean? But may I have a quick little...
Go ahead. This is your time to shine, baby.
Bingo.
The Cincinnati Bengals of the NRL. Doubt my boys
You've
for as
lost
long
me.
as you want. Doubt my boys for as long as you want because Joe Burrow, a.k.a. Reece Walsh, is going to carry these cunts way further than anyone thinks they can. The Warriors will finish inside that 8-4 range.
Yep.
Everyone will be counting them out in week 1 of the finals. They'll put on an absolute clinic. They'll be about $4 to $5 outsiders against whoever the fuck they go up against. They'll smoke them. Sean Johnson will roll all the way into the GF. Reece Walsh, put on a clinic. This is our fucking year, man. This is our fucking year.
I slipped on Facet of the Warriors, back with Puma.
Yeah, back with Puma. Come on, man.
They just look better in Puma.
Cincinnati Bengals, the NRL, the Warriors, 2022. I didn't say it last year.
Who's Joe Burrow?
Reece Walsh.
Who's Jamar Chase? You need your Jamar Chase to...
Rocco Berry, baby. We got it.
Rocco Berry. Okay, baby. Okay. I'm rocking with Berry. Let's do it.
So that's the Warriors. They're going to kill it this year. We all know that. And I love the Cool Runnings analogy, mate. Good work. Let's roll on to the Dragons.
Feel
obviously.
the rhythm. Feel the rhythm.
Imagine Stace saying that.
Yeah.
Finished 11th last year. The mighty Dragons missing the finals again. However, Scope, they were able to bleed a couple of young, talented youngsters.
Yep.
Sloaney, Bud, Amone, and the sorts. Key gains for the Dragons. We got Jaden Sewer, Moses Imbai, Moses Sully, Aaron Woods, Francis Molo, Georgie Burgess, how do you say it? Jasecki?
Jasecki? Yeah, that's
Jasowski.
Jasowski. And Telltale Moga having another red hot crack. Key losses: Cam McInnes, Matt Duffy, Corey Norman. That's going to rip the heart and soul out of the club. Adam Clune, Paul Vaughan, Geordie Pereira.
The pub will be... The club will be pumped.
The Leafs club. Braden Williami and Gerard Beale. Strengths for you for the mighty Dragon Scope.
You said it. Normie's gone. That's the No, all jokes aside, it's a good mix of vets now. With Normie gone, it was a nice fairy tale for the boys to get back together with Andrew McCulloch and Benny Hunt, and they got Mudders got to finish off his career with those boys, and it was cool. He loved going to training with them all the time. But I like what they're sort of doing with the youth that they're bringing in with a couple of old heads. Like, now it's Chainsaw playing hooker. You got Benny Hunt, who's still playing really good. He played outstanding for Queensland last year. He played really good in the games. I sort of found that when I was watching their games, when Hunty played with some of the younger players or Normie played with some of the younger players, they played better without him, whereas together they sort of just weren't, it wasn't happening for him. So if you mix in with the youth, with Bud Sullivan or Telltale Moan and Tyrell Sloan, like I'm excited about what they can become, and I'm just excited to see who can sort of who puts their
mark on the club,
and who takes that 6 jersey, and even another guy that's just a solid first grader, Moses and Byers there as well, and he's a steady influence as well. So I like what that spine could potentially be.
Strengths here,
just like new culture coming through, and it's like a fresh little look. And you look at teams like the Dragon or at Penrith now,
it feels a little bit Panthers-y.
And like Sharks kind of had that, but they just didn't have the talent. Where like guys like Kyle Flanagan and like who was that centre that got done for?
Bronson Sherry.
Bronson Sherry. They were the kids coming through and they were winning all their stuff. This gives me that same sort of vibe, but more so Penrith-like, where you've got your Bud Sullivan, Tyrell Sloan, Junior Morne. Like, I think...
Did you see Bud's post when they were like under 15s, cool. 18s, 20s?
Cool.
Yeah, it was
and you can't fake culture. You can't. You just can't. So I remember when we were at Penrith and we played Parramatta, and I remember Tim Grant coming through like, this is our local rivalry. Like, we fucking hate Parramatta. And I'm just sitting there, I was like...
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't hate him.
Weren't you with Para briefly?
Oh, when you were a young kid. I used to stay at the Scapes house.
Oh, did you?
It's the first time we met him, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Like I think that new culture comes through. And bit of a take, I know Benny Hunt's getting towards the back end. He's their best player, but his best position, in my opinion, is 9.
I think that's everyone's opinion except Ben Hunt, unfortunately.
Oh, bro, when you're a half and they go play 9, it's like a slap in the face. Yeah. It's fucking annoying.
Because he is such a good half. It's not like he's bad at one job and good at another.
He's a top 5, top 6 half.
Here's my thing. After halfway through the year, if it's not really going well, he goes to hooker, Bud Sullivan Jr., Tyrell Sloan.
Yeah.
That's a good little spine there, Diamond. And then... you got a bit of experience with someone like Moses and Boy coming on the bench or whatever you want. So there's plenty of points in there.
Yeah.
When you watch Ben Hunt play hooker, he can get the side rolling forward, like someone like an Api Kurosawa. He's not as deceptive as him, but he can get the forwards rolling just as well. And one thing you watch about the Dragons, they never play a front foot football. Like their footy and all their points have come from either Matt Duffy trying to do something or Zachy Lomax trying to do something. It's never like really beautiful shape.
Back into the year, Corey laid a few on for Sloan, but it was, they play very deep, off the back of a lot of
because you have to, bro, because you got no go forward. Like, when your forwards are getting pumped, you can't play off that.
Yeah. All right, weaknesses for the Dragon scope. Don't say plenty again. Give us something. What do you got?
Well, that was one time. No, I've got depth plus sort of rolls into the bench. I actually don't mind their starting 13. I went through, was having a look at their 13.
I was the same as you, Scott. I looked at, I was like, these boys are going to get pumped. And I looked, I was like, oh no, these guys are actually all right.
Yeah. And then, but on the bench and then the rest of the squad members, and this is what happened last year, they have a few injuries, man. They're fucking like, you lose Zachy Lomax, you lose Jackie Bird. Some of these players were out and they just really struggled with the 17 to 23 that sort of come through. And when I look at them as well, to be fair, I haven't put too much into some of these other younger guys that are coming through, but you're not really hearing too much about them as well, which is sort of a bit concerning because you sort of like sometimes when players are coming through,
but they've got 3 there.
Like the young guys now. So Normie was talking about them a couple of years ago and going, man, these kids could be good. You don't really hear much of that. So outside of the 17 that they're going to play each week, if they have any injuries,
they've got big raps on those 2 twins from Matthew and Max Fairguy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They got big raps on them. I think they're from Hastings. They're born in Hastings as well. So they got big raps on them, and I think they signed them to long-term contracts. So, but I agree, Scope.
Yeah.
Still need time to develop.
Yeah.
Weaknesses for you, Ice, for the Dragons?
Front row rotation. And like they're all good players and all great guys, but like we talked about Adam Finnell-Blake and he half gets scared talking about him. So we got like Woods, Alvaro, Burgess, and like Larry, like really good players, always going to do a job for you. You need these types of guys in your team, but they can't be like your full rotation, in my opinion, because they're very similar builds.
Right, yeah.
And George Burgess is coming off a really big injury as well. So what level is he going to be at? Really great player. But when you look at those guys, like you're not going... Like, I'm not scared of those guys.
You always talk about...
But then you can back... Like, Tarek Simmons will come out and put on show. Jaden Sewer could. And then Maguire's got a bit of grub in him. But you're not, like... Out of that pack, you go, all right, I'm not running straight at Sewer.
Yeah, you always talk about body shapes in terms of being a defender. So if you're a halfback, you hate when you're tackling someone high and then Toto comes at you or whatever. But it's, the Dragons, I get what you're saying. You're kind of getting 4 very good players, but they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, all journeymen, great guys, like really nice
Toilers,
guys.
Toilers, we call them.
Yeah. And like, say if you got those 4 guys on, you get in a rhythm of tackling the same type of person. Yeah. So like, if you have to tackle like Latrell, and then like say someone like Connie Hurrell comes out as well, so you have to. There's like tackle selections that you have to pick on the move while you're tired. You can get in a rhythm with these guys.
Back to back to back. Same tackle.
If Georgie Burgess can get back to his best,
huge.
And fit, he can be that X factor for him. But he went over the weekend. He had back surgery, so
those are big injuries, and he's coming back to a tougher comp.
That's a tough one, yeah.
But it's his brother Sammy. Yeah. You knew as soon as Sammy runs out the tunnel, and you're already out there early and near the home side, and fucking Rabbitohs are running out, and he's at the front. Fuck you, like
especially
fuck that.
Yeah, especially when he rocked up with George too. Like when George and prime Georgie, like fuck, here we go, got 2 of them
for fun too.
And then our mate Biffa and Tommy follow him, and like, beauty.
Like just Sammy's tapped. Like you're scared of that, and like especially when you start to line the ball up like this, and you're trying to kick away from him, and he starts swapping with the prop. like nah.
Fuck that. You mentioned X Factor there, Scope. Where are you going for X Factor with the Drags?
I think did I say Telltale Mocha before? I think I meant to say Telltale Moan. Anyway, so he's my guy. Normie's high on him. He thinks he's...
Oh, you said him on it. Yeah.
Did I say him on it? So, Normie's been raving about it. He thinks he'll be the guy to win the 6th position there with Bud fighting out the 14 jersey with Moses. So, just the combination that he had with Tyrell was... It was obvious to see, like some of the little, some of the little silky plays. That's what I love about him. It's one of the biggest concerns that we had with Mudders at the back end of his career, that he wasn't taking the line. Then Junior comes in and just fucking does it and does it well. There were some games where it looked like could have been a bit of a blowout, but he was trying his guts out in the last 15, 20 minutes. So I love that from him. I think there are got a few players, but I'm excited to see him play the most, I think.
X Factor me, Jack Bird. He's sort of come back into like where he's the one guy, maybe besides Tyrone Peachey, I think he could play
anywhere
1 to 13 and be effective.
Yeah.
But I just think good things always seem to happen around him. No matter where he plays on the field, you just need to find a position for him where it's the back row, or he rolls into 13 for a bit of the game, where he can get more touches on the ball and create more looks. Because like we said, we looked at the front row rotation and we got a young spine around him. I think he's one that can create sort of second phase football. He can take you on, bump you off, step you. I really like him, man. I think he's a good player. And my one to watch is actually the same as I'm on there.
Yeah, I actually stuffed up. Sorry, I had him flipped around. I had Junior's my player to watch, and Moses Sully's my X factor. Coming over, I was petitioning for him on this show for him to get more time. Didn't sort of bother me who they moved out, but I just thought going into the finals, I wanted to see Moses every time he played. Man, it's like the Hello Sports boys would say, he's a rugby league handful. So I think when you're looking at the squad, it also frees up Birdie to play potentially back row or even lock, where I'd love to see Birdie play lock and just be roving and playing like a third.
After 20, like get Maguire to eat up all that shit.
Yeah, that'd
like
be cool.
Yuck stuff,
he could maybe sit on the edge and then flow into the middle and get him at the back end of the halves. But if Moses locks down a centre spot, you've got Zachy Lomax, who is potentially an Origin player. Did he play Origin last year?
No, he's in the squad.
He got in the extended squad. So Zachy Lomax comes in, Jaden Sewer. Just like imagine Jaden Sewer and Moses Sully if they're on the same edge, because like as much as Moses can, he's a good defender and like he does his damage. So you got Jaden Sewer who's going to fucking hurt you in defense, and then you got Moses who's going to hurt you in attack. Like he's going to run at you. So if that could potentially be their edge, man, that's the X factor for me. And then Junior's my player to watch.
Yeah, same as me. Like I seen him come off his right foot one time. It's a it's a lethal step, bro. It's lethal. And there's 2 types of steps. Like there's your touch step, your Benji Marshall, your Sean Johnson. Like they'll crank you and like they'll get nowhere near you. It's like a no touch sort of vibe. But then there's steppers that like it's more like a footy or rugby league step. So you look at your Freddie Fittlers, your Tuivasa Sheks. It's step and into contact.
Power through.
Yeah, some like they can still crank and you miss you like no touch, but they're not avoiding contact. They're just using their skill set to get through the line. And he's got one of those that fuck it sharp.
Yeah, he's lethal, man. I love watching him play. And on Jackie Bird, I think we'll probably get a bit of an indication on where he wants to play, where he's going to play in this Indigenous game too.
And sorry, just off that, like I think Bud Sullivan's like got more in his arsenal. Like he'd be able to create a lot more and do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I just think Amoni's probably more NRL ready right now for what they need right now.
And I reckon Bud is going to be a really good long-term player for him. Like he's going to be the future for him. Yeah, when I'm looking at it now, just as we're talking out, probably, obviously Tarek's going to be left edge. They'll move Jaden Sewer, who played right edge at the South, and then get Birdie in the middle, play straight away. Actually, fuck it, I don't know. I want him in there straight away.
So push Maguire up front because he got a bit of fuckery in him.
Got some cunt about him. Yeah.
So
some cunt about him.
100%. But like I said, you want to be scared of someone in that line.
Hey, and the reason I say that word too is because like I want it to it mean something for a middle. Like that's what
you want. That's a compliment.
I've said it many times to players when we've been in the huddle getting ready to go out there. I said, look at my big dog. I said, yeah, a little bit of,
got a bit in it. All right, let's move on to the Raiders. Obviously, really hurt by injury last year. Plenty of off-field noise. There's always a lot when it's around Ricky. They saw them finish 10th. I believe it was just points differential that saw them missing the 8. But an aging roster. But Xavier Savage is one that sort of really came on at the back end of last year.
He's good, bro.
Haircut of doom, lethal speed. Key gains for the Raiders. Kotrick is back. Jamal Fogarty and Adam Elliott. It's Jordan Simi's mate. Key losses, George Williams, Ryan James, Bailey Simonson, Saliva Havili, Sia Soliola, Dynamis Louis, your mate Scope, and Curtis Scott. Ice, we'll start with you here. Where are you going for strengths for the Canberra Raiders?
I'm not hot on the Raiders. I don't know. Like, this is more so like my weakness, but I just don't like him, eh? Like, I don't know what it is. It's nothing like personal against all these guys or anything. But like for me, their strengths like Jack Wyden.
Yeah,
he was the LEM Player of the Year a couple of years ago. If he goes good, like they all go good. So like I'm looking at their squad. So I was like I said before, I was like, nah, these guys are gonna get pumped this year. And I roll into their squad, and they've still got a really good squad, bro. Adam Elliott's like a good player. Corey Hardaway-Tonight. We've got Elliot Whitehead is tough, Joseph Tarpany, Josh Hodgson, Josh Papali. Like it's still a really good pack, and they've got running halves now. So Jamal Fogarty, I'll class him more as a running half than ball playing. So it kind of suits the Josh Hodgson style of play because Jack Wyden's going to take you on. So maybe their strength for me is experience, but that could also be their weakness as well.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm not too hot on them, eh?
They are an aging roster. I think everyone can sort of see it. I believe it's 2024 year. Hodgson's off to para, or is it 23? So they're sort of coming to the end of. It appears to be coming to the end of this run that they've been on, but
their window's closing. So if you don't want to say now or never because obviously they're going to get back there, but. Yeah, it might be a tough year for Canberra. Where are you going strengths though, Scope?
Yeah, you mentioned it a little bit. A big game experience for a team that's outside the top 8. Like they've been there, they've done it. They've got rep players across the board, not only for Australia, New Zealand, Queensland, England, Elliot Whitehead.
How is Elliot Whitehead?
Is
he about my age?
Smelling about 30. Yeah.
I thought he'd be a bit
he's been around for ages, man. Like he would have started at Bradford, I believe, at about 17, 18.
He's
over
32.
Oh yeah, 32.
Big boy.
For a team outside the 8, they've got players that can make it happen. And I think at the back end of this season, once all the drama had finished, they really fucking started to kick on, and their big name players really stepped up. They get hit pretty hard around Origin time. It feels like they're always banged up. Their best players going in Origin, and then they get even more banged up in Origin. So that sort of has an effect on them. But I just think at the end of the day too, you sort of have concerns with some of the teams that are coming in because you don't know what you're going to expect because they're not experienced. I know what I'm going to get from their players. So
no, do you know there was a game last year and I went up against Penrith and I think we either covered it or we touched on it. Well, I know we definitely touched on it, and I go, and this is when Penrith were carrying on a little bit, and I go, nah, wait till they play like Raiders. They got some fucking grown men. They're going to get bullied.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Do you remember me saying that, bro? And Panthers just walked fucking straight through him.
Yeah, they
straight through the middle of him.
It was early on. Raiders come at him and we're like, oh, fuck yeah, this is what we're talking about. And then Panthers just went, they absorbed it and went, nah, fuck you. And then they come over top of them.
Yeah, so when you got those experienced guys and seasoned vets and you've got this young team coming through and they still walk through it. Obviously, they went on to win the fucking competition.
Yeah, decent side.
They're a good side.
That was when
they sort of lost it for me there.
Joseph Tarpany.
Same thing. Yeah, so I don't know, man. Weaknesses for me, obviously, I just think the window's closing. Like we sort of touched on it before. Just there's something about that place. It gives me that Parramatta sort of vibe. I don't know if Ricky Stewart picked that up while he coached there.
I was going to say, is it
something about that place? It's just like,
you guys are ex-players. Is it true? Well, I'm sure it is in the sense that a coach's voice can get tired with that
definitely.
group. Like Ricky's been there a minute.
Definitely. There's a word for it. Like, keep going. We don't know the inner workings of Canberra, and the boys all seem to always come out and defend Ricky. No one's bagging him. But when things start to leak from the club and Ricky starts to call out... That's a sign of a bad club when shit leaks.
Shit leaks. It sounds a bit toxic. And I get the sense, just personally, that maybe, not only is their window closing as a side, but I think maybe Ricky's outgrown Canberra or vice versa. I just don't know how long he is for that position.
Or has the game moved past him? Or
Yeah, even
that
potentially.
style of coaching? Because I look at him.
We spoke about Madge last week with that. We get the sense that might be the case, but Ricky might be a bit of the same.
The word of semantic satiation. Semantic is a psychology phenomenon in which repetition causes a word or phrase to temporarily lose its meaning for the listener.
Yeah. How many sprays can you cop from Ricky before you go, come on, man?
Yeah.
We're having a crack out here. Weaknesses for you, Scope?
We're on the same page, boys. I got drama from within.
Yeah.
It felt like there was plenty of fucking noise early on when things didn't go well. Georgie Williams ends up leaving, packing his bags and heading over to England. There was reports of sticks being sticks with post-game sprays and whatnot. But it's like you're saying, the boys have got that before. But I suppose maybe with some of these vets, as they get a little bit older, that shit just becomes fucking tiresome. Like you're sick of hearing him coming in and potentially spraying you and whatnot. And I also think there might be a bit of drama with, is there going to be a bit of a change into the guard? Like Croaks stands out for me in particular. Like he's been a fucking great servant in the game. He's the Canberra to the core. But like there are a few players starting to present themselves in that
last year was the first time
line
where you saw Jared Croker and you went, ooh.
Yeah, he looked a bit off.
First time, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And this is respectfully to Croaks because
he's
one of the best to ever do it. But I was watching a game at the back end of the season, I think, where he got injured and Smelly, Elliot Whitehead, went out to centres. He actually did a better job than what Croaks was doing in that game. So he might have been banged up because he come off with an injury. But I remember watching that going, it sort of tightened him up on that edge because they were sort of coming down his edge and doing a bit of a number on him. And then you got young ascending players, Sebastian Chris, Matty Tomoko, that I'm going to talk about a little bit about.
Tomoko,
he's a player that I'm excited to watch play this year.
It's tough to tackle those young dudes.
Xavier Savage is going to put pressure on Chansey. Does Chansey move into the centres? There's
Chansey
so many questions to be said with what happens in their backline. And I think, can it be a distraction? Because guys like Croaks are so respected, not only within the coaching staff and the younger boys. When those players are not potentially part of the lineup, all the younger boys start treading on. It's weird. It's weird when you get to a point in your career when
you're playing better than the vet, eh?
Yeah, but everyone loves the vet, and no one wants to see the vet not in the team. Those are tough conversations, and those are like when they're naming the team. I swear to God, we've been there before where that you go, all right, fucking, let's go, Zave X, you go fullback. Fucking Kotrick names the wings, and then Croaks is in one of the centres, and then everyone sort of just goes,
starts looking around.
You sort of just take a breath and you go, fuck, that's our skipper, you know. So there could be, and there's jostling for positions as well. Like I mentioned Elliot Whitehead, love Hudson Young. So there's going to be good competition.
He came on good at the end of the year, Hudson Young.
But could that be a bit, just because of how toxic it seemed like last year the Raiders were, could something like that present itself where it causes dramas?
Let's get some positives. X Factor Ice.
Joseph Tapani. I'll put him in the same category as Tino Fa'asu Malawi.
Yeah, I agree.
Only reason he doesn't get the raps he does because he can't play Origin and he hasn't won a comp as well. But like I played
That's a good point about Origin.
Bro, and it's a Roger Tuivasa conversation. He'll never get mentioned in the top three because Teddy and all those boys are playing there as well. But I remember watching his 100th game against the Roosters down on TV and dominated.
Yeah.
So he's at that level now where he can influence the game, and we're in a stage of football right now where 13 is one of the most important positions on the field. It's not as important as 7 and fullback and 9, but it's probably not far off that.
And he's not one of those new age Turbo Radley ball playing 13s. He's a little bit sort of just.
He's Tino.
He's just Tino. Just
Tino,
goes up
big
there,
body.
guns,
he'll come up, put a shot on you. He's got a nice pass on him.
Yeah.
He's a physical presence. He's a bit niggly as well. He's always in there.
Got a shit about him.
Yeah, got a bit of shit about him. But I fucking
You watch him in this Maldives game. Watch what he does in this one.
He
always turns it on for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him somewhere else.
Yeah,
respectfully to Raiders fans.
X Factor Scope.
It's all in the name, baby. Xavier Savage. X. He only played 2 or 3 of the games.
It's a rugby league name, that.
Yeah. It's a porn star name.
That name, I don't care what he does. He's going to be successful with that name.
And that haircut.
Yeah, he can fly. He moves around. It was sad that he went down with ACL, but yeah, you've seen enough. I'm sure most people they were hiring him.
If you see a boy wearing calf skins and he can back it up, you know he's quick. You know what I mean? Calf skins are only made for the elite.
Yeah, I couldn't fit calf skins.
That's the reason why
I didn't wear them. But
and the Gary Freeman socks.
Yeah, but he's shown enough in 3 games. They were hype on him before he came in. Simi was talking about his sprinting highlights before.
He actually was.
He was early doors. He's going, relax. You relax. Yeah, this
chill,
is.
Chill.
Yeah, so people have been talking about him for a moment. Does he put pressure? Part of me wants to see just Chansey start off at fullback first and just make sure because when did he do his ACL? About round 20, it feels like, anywhere between round 15 and round 20. So he'd probably be a little bit off. But the wingers are solid, so he's not going to get a chance to blood in on the wing. Maybe he comes and plays that 14 role, and bit how they mix Rups, and when Rups was fullback and they brought Chansey back at the back end of the season, and he started off with 14 and then they moved him to fullback. Maybe something like that happens, but I think he's got a real big future. I
think it'd be good to see Chance just have a full preseason as well, because he always comes back like he's puts on big, size quick. He's ripped and he's got big legs as it is, so very crampy them calves as well. Poor dude.
Chance has played plenty of centre. I'm with you to a point. I just think start Savage round 1. If he's ready to go, the Reece Walsh effect, just throw the kid in and give him a red hot crack. He gives them, I think the Raiders are better with both of them on the field, whatever position you can get them in, rather than just starting Chance. And I don't think you have, like we said, the Raiders window is closing. I don't think you have time to take your time with Savage. If he performed and he's ready to roll and he's fit and healthy, I'd just throw him in. But that's just me. One to watch, brother. Isaac.
Nick Kotrick just coming back. Took the big money deal. Was an Origin player when he left. Went to the Bulldogs. Hopefully something like this doesn't happen. There's like a Nato Carr or someone. He's probably a bit more advanced or more on his career than that. But he'll come back. He'll be back home around people that he knows, back in the green. So I think he's going to be good. And he's still physical presence.
And young.
Young. So Sydney wasn't for him, and it's not for everyone. But I think he'll be back home and he's seen his best again.
Scope.
Yeah, I mentioned him before, Matty Tomoko, playing. I think he'll put some pressure on, I said, Croaks. He reminds me, he's a bit of a throwback. He reminds me of a guy called Willie Talau. I don't know if you remember Willie Talau. Yeah, you don't remember Willie?
No.
See, because you know why? He was overshadowed by Nigel at the Bulldogs, but he was rock solid, like... a bit like Matty Utai, but like a bit taller than Matty Utai was. And in the centres, he was just like quick play of the balls, solid defence, and that's what Matty Tomoko.
It's kind of like that Connie sort of build.
I get the Solomon Cutter vibes, you know.
Probably not as quick as those boys, but like
Cutter was rapid.
Like that. That inside boom
nightmare to tackle.
Going back to the Storm game where he had one of the this mad breakaway, and I think he was going up to head to head with Justin Olam, and physically really held himself well in that game, which goes a long way. You're going to get, for me, the best centre in the game last year was Justin Olam, so he handled himself really well. Could have had one of the all-time great tries just on half time and just like slipped out, but like the
That's
presence,
very Solomon Cutter.
But the presence, the way he got himself free for that try in particular really stood out, causing our mate Prezor, Cam Munster, all sorts of headaches there on the left edge for the Melbourne Storm. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play this year.
Yeah, one to watch, man. All right, let's move on. Lastly, before we wrap this up, we are onto the Cronulla Sharks. Obviously, point stiff saw them miss the 8. They finished 9th in that Tigers spot, but few expect them to kind of be back in that position this year with obviously the coach coming in and the new recruits. So key gains for the Sharks. A few biggies. Nico Hines, Dale Finucane, Cam McInnes, Matt Ikuvalu, and Jaden Beryl. Losses, obviously, Chad Townsend, SJ, so they've lost their probably starting halves. Aaron Woods, Dukes, Billy Goat Chambers, and Billy Magulius are all their losses. Ice, let's start with you again. Strengths for Cronulla.
Leadership. You can't win a comp without leadership, and they've got probably two of the best there. And Wade Graham missed most of the season last year, but we're lucky to know Wade on a personal level. And when you talk to him, bro, it seems like he's 40, bro. He's like 3 years younger than me. He just the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, the way he talks about football. He's got a presence about him when he walks in. He makes everything sound easy. So I think that's great leadership. Then you got Dale Finucane as well, who's come from the MSS, the Melbourne Storm system, and great leaders as well. So I think one thing they've always lacked in talking to the boys at Sharks, like it's kind of a cruisy training, like it's a player run. Club. So if whatever Wade says or whatever Gal says, that was it.
Sean mentioned that on your podcast in terms of like just walking in and feeling like he had a genuine say straight away because Wade gave him that sort of impression.
That's a good and a bad thing as well. So like if Wade didn't want to train, or I'm just making this up, but then we go, let's just not do field.
But a touch.
It could do that as well. But then you got someone like Dale Finucane, when we were talking to Cheese, he'll rock up every day. And so there's that nice little balance of, all right, we're going to fucking rip in at training. And then we've got that sort of Wade there as well. So you still got the core essence of the club. And I think it's a beautiful little matchup there.
Love it. Strengths for you, Cronulla Sharks, Justin Hoyle.
I reckon they'll get back to the Sharks of old. With Fitzy coming in as coach, the players that they've brought in, Cam McInnes and Dale Finucane. And then what I mean by that is when we played the Sharks during my time and I was at Manly, the talk was, we've got to be willing to beat these guys 8-6. Like that was the mentality that we had to take into the game because we knew we're going to be in for a dogfight. We knew they were going to keep coming.
Beaches.
Battle the beaches, and you got to win it in the middle, and that's where they're going to cement it. I think that with Fitzy coming over from the Roosters, he'll have a few nice little trick shots. Like I don't think he's going to be just straight up and too plain, too simple. I think he'll come up with some nice little plays because of just being around Robbo long enough and knowing their system. But I think at the core of it, it'll be the engine room. They'll make you fucking earn it, and you're going to come off with some bruises, I think, because they've got a good mixture of fucking toilers, which we talked about, but they've got some, Andrew's he's a handful. Royce Hunt, Talakai, Sifa Talakai.
Hamlin-Uele,
yeah. So
loves a meat pie too.
They've got we talked about, we were concerned about the Dragons pack.
Yeah.
I got no concerns at all about the Sharks pack.
I think this is
bench
out of
and
these
depth.
out of these 4 teams. Obviously, the Warriors are winning the comp, but the Sharks are the one where everyone's got them in their top 8. I think they're too.
I see them at
too
5, 6, yeah.
I've got 6 to 8 range, but I can see them at 5 if they finish at 5.
Yeah. All right, Ice, weaknesses for you.
This rolls perfectly, the segue. For me, that's their weakness. They just love a close game for some reason. So they'll put on 2 tries and let you score 1 because it's like they get bored of it or something. So between Moylan, Hines, Bill Kennedy, I think they've got a lot of points in them as well. But I think with Craig Fitzgibbon in, they start to really stiffen up as well. And their biggest weakness over the course of their history is they love close games. I'd love to see them take an 8-point lead to a 14, 20, 26.
Yeah.
Walk into the sheds and cruise into next week. Like, I think that's the next evolution of the Sharks. And like when they won the comp and they went on their 10-game winning streak, like they were putting sides away. They weren't necessarily chasing that confrontation and that battle. And it's great to have that skill set in you. You know what I mean? Like if you need it, you got it. It's like having a bit of wrestle or a bit of jiu-jitsu. Like if you need to go down to the ground, you can have that. They've got that up their fucking toolkit, but
yeah,
I'd love to see them just put teams away.
Finally, weaknesses go. Cronulla.
I like him, but who's going to take the game by the scruff of the neck? SJ's moved on.
Chad's moved on too. Yeah.
Moylan's your most clutch player.
It has to be.
But they'll give Hines.
Yeah.
I think Hines gets first ball, but I think Moylan's still your most clutch player because he's proven.
Coming out of camp, they don't know who's going to be 7 and 6 out of them. For me, that means that like Moyes has got the most potential to do it, but Moyes is like, he's a mate of ours. Everyone knows that. But he's been banged up, and you're not sure if you're going to get fucking 25 games out of Moyes. I'd like that 7 to play as much footy as possible. But I think if in the perfect scenario for me, if it works out and they play a full round, Moyes will play 7. Nico gets to play that second receiver 6 or play what he sees. But they haven't got guys that have done that consistently for a long time. And even with Trindle, I like Trindle, but he comes on. He's a bit flary as well and throws around. They've got is it Luke Metcalf?
He's good.
He's got a bit of a rugby union background. Yeah, he's a bit leery. He's seen a bit of a chip and chase in him. So
he's rapid.
Yeah, there's not really a half like Chatty or Shawnee that they've had in the past where they're going to solidify that 7 and just let everyone play off the back of it. And so
are they kind of too similar to the halves? So if you go Moyes and Hines,
very similar.
That's the only reason I think I put a lot of emphasis on this Indigenous game. If Trindle goes out there and plays really well and he has a really good preseason, I think Moyes could find himself in that 14 role. But I don't know. In terms of balance, I agree. I think you get too much of the same if you play Moylan and Nico, but we haven't really seen Nico have a sustained season in the half, so you don't really know what he is like as a half, I suppose.
And Moyes in a long time.
Yeah. So, X Factor Isaac, where are you going with Cronulla?
Coaching, Craig Fitzgibbon. He's come from obviously one of the better systems in the comp, probably second system to Melbourne. He's been under Robinson for like a long, long time. And I think we've heard a lot of noise about him and sort of Cam Ciraldo for like a while now. And he's sort of taken his time. Like you heard his name tossed up around.
Every time as a coach is sacked, it's his name.
It's him, yeah. It was always sort of him. So he's taken his time. He's picked a pretty good side and recruited really well. I think he's going to... It won't be a quick fix straight away where they can sort of change everything. But I think he's the right guy. I think he's the first grade coach for the next 10, 15. So I think he's going to be the X Factor for them.
Love it. X Factor scope.
Nico Hines. Even though I was concerned a little bit about who's going to take the reins, for a guy to go from a role player, not necessarily going to be locked in the 17, to arguably the most prized free agent signing last year in the NRL, says a lot about how quickly he developed his game. But
I reckon it'll take him 5 to 6 to get going.
As we all say, people who come out of the Melbourne Storm system don't always kick on straight away at their new clubs. Could it take him a little bit while? He's never been under this sort of pressure and expectations before. So he's been brought there to be the guy, man. He's got to be the guy for him. Like they've got not a lot of nice pieces, and if he doesn't if he stalls a little bit, I think they could stall a little bit, and it could be a little bit concerning. But I'm banking on him having a good season. I think he's going to be X factor.
I think when you go up against play the Sharks, like every time he kicks, he's on his ass. Like he's going to have a massive fucking target on his head, and it can throw him off his game. And you've seen, if you watch Melbourne closely last year, if a couple things don't go his way, like he can get like a little bit niggly as well. And he was
getting a bit frustrated.
Yeah, you can get frustrated, and he can throw him off his game. So like, there's first grade coaches. If I'm seeing it, fucking Trent Robinson's seen it. Yeah. So those guys are going to be. He's going to spend a lot of time on his back and on his ass, and when he gets into the line. And the thing about Melbourne and the beauty of him as well is like when you go into video, and even though he was a standout player of that, it was the effect of everything else that went before him. So they got big go forward, they got Harry Grant and Cheese jumping out. It goes into Hughes, Munster,
Happy.
So you have to go through like 5 different processes before you get to Nico Hines, and by the time you get to there, he's already halfway underneath the post. So I think it's going to be a little bit harder than people think it is going to be for him, but I still think he's going to be a success.
Yeah, I think just purely based on like how much he seems to be enjoying Sydney, enjoying training, and obviously inaugural guest on Grouse and a Few Reds. Seems like a very relaxed character.
But was he OG, was he?
One of the OGs, came in here, bit of a foot fetish, so he's one of us. One to watch, Isaac, for the Cronulla Sharks.
Blake Brayley, and like you heard all great things about him coming through, and him and his brother come through at the same time. They got rid of his brother, who was probably more established, different style of player, but I just kind of want to see him take his game to that next level. And like the Sharks, like we said, they're always like that grindy sort of team. But when you watch them move out of like acting like dummy half and that, it looks like
silk.
Yeah, it looks silky, it looks pretty, looks beautiful. But their shape doesn't really accommodate to that. But I think someone like a Craig Fitzgibbon will bring out the best of him. And a guy like Dale Finucane, who's played with really good nines, will be tipping him up about different things because he's got all the skill sets. 23 years old, close to 60 games now. He's probably at the point now when he needs to go from here to here.
So does he start? And where do you see McInnes playing?
I'll start him. Yeah, I'll put Dale Finucane up front.
And McInnes at 13.
McInnes at 13, and then move him around. Yeah. He's a better 9 than McInnes, respectfully.
Yeah.
McInnes is tough and he'll go tackle for you, but when he was at the Dragons, when Ben Hunt, it's a different side.
So you said he spells for Brayley and Dale just moves back to lock and
Does Brayley play Eddie?
Yeah.
He go close to way.
Look at his Barry Beef. McInnes belongs in the 13 jersey. Like that, his teeth just sums up fucking. I should play 13 straight up and down.
Yeah, tough as fuck, bro.
Yeah,
tough as fuck. Brayley's better.
One to watch.
I've got one with a bit of a familiar last name. A guy that most people wouldn't have heard of. Kate Dykes is Adam Dykes' son. If you remember Dykesy from the 90s,
it was so gay. I
trained with him. This is a more of sort of rumblings around people that train. He trains at Reborn. He's a personal trainer there. This kid, he's so fit. Like I watch him move around. He does like even when we play frisbee, you can just when you can just see like a guy that moves well. Like it's not necessarily you don't have to see him on the footy field, but all the raps are. He's about 92 kilos.
Posey?
He plays fullback.
Oh, fullback.
Plays fullback. I've seen him throw the footy around. It looks silky. I haven't actually seen him in-game experience, but all the talk is around Cronulla is he could be a bit of a player. So I'm excited to see if something happens in the outside backs. One of the players, just a little player to watch out for, a little unknown player. So
who's their left centre? I know Jesse Raymond's their right.
Yeah, so
I was like,
Connor Tracy.
Connor Tracy was nice at the end of last year.
Who was the other kid that played
that's
there?
a little bit light there, aren't they?
Horoti as well played a little bit there as well.
Could he slot in there?
There's another guy with a strong last name is I think he's Tony Oro's son. What's his name?
In the Cronulla outside backs, they are a little bit light, but also a guy
Kale Oro. Apparently he's he's had a good preseason.
Luke Metcalf can basically play anywhere too. Yeah. He's fucking rapid, but they might be a little bit light there. But there you go, Scope, bit of a smoke. But
you go,
a little smoky that one.
You go left centre, then beauty look up, Tony Staggs running.
Or Tomoko. All right, jump in the comments. That is the sports show for today. Let us know if the Warriors are indeed the Bengals of the NRL and if Reece Walsh is a lock for Dally M, which we all know. Give us your thoughts on today's show.